Morning, everybody. Welcome to Visible Live. Gosh, that light is not fabulous today. Sorry about that. So we are, let's see if I can fix that. I think that's a little better. All right. So today on Visible Live, Nicola Moras Live, we are talking about creating your own network. So some of you may be familiar with the fact that Oprah Winfrey, hey Gary, good afternoon, all the way in Canada, assuming that you're home at the moment. Thanks for joining us. So you may or may not be aware, Oprah Winfrey has her own network. It's the Oprah Winfrey Network. And I think one of the really awesome ways that we can think about digital marketing and social media is by kind of embracing some of the thinking that can be beneficial if you were to own all of your own network. So here's the thing that happens when you own the media. When you own the media, or you own the channel, or you own the distribution, you get to control the conversation. You get to talk about what you like. You get to share the stuff that's important to you. You get to talk about the causes that you might be supportive of, and you get to really own your voice and own the positioning that happens when you own the channel, right? Or you own the network. So one of the ways that we can really think about this is, well, what if your Facebook page is your own network? What if your podcast channel is your own network? What if your Instagram is your own network? So you've got different ways of pushing out content that matters. Now, a huge conversation that I have with people, some are clients and some are not clients, is around, well, but what about the competition? You know, what if my peers judge me? What if this? What if that? So here's the thing. You know, if you think about Foxtel or satellite TV, I can pretty much guarantee you that the National Geographic Channel isn't worried about what the Disney Channel is doing. The crime shows aren't worried about what the lifestyle shows are doing. No one even could care less. National Geographic also isn't worried about what Animal World, I think that's the name of that show, like they're not worried about what they're doing. So instead of being caught up in what your perceived competitor is doing or not doing, or what they're talking about or what they're broadcasting, thanks Judith, you know, the thing is that you can really own the conversation, you can own your space. So here's one of the things, one of the energies, I guess, that I want you to be thinking about when you're coming in. So if you were to think about, all right, well, what is it that I really want to talk about? What am I really passionate about? What are the things that I really want to see people achieve and do? And what does my audience really need to hear? If we use National Geographic as an example, the National Geographic Channel as an example, they're all about nature, not just animals, but also the world, right? And everything that's going on. So they've got loads of different episodes that they can talk about. And it's not just the birds, it might be different episodes on the different types of birds. So for you, if you are, let's say that you're a health coach, you might talk about the benefits of eating plant material. You might talk about the benefits of eating meat. I don't know, whatever it is for you. The why you would have a green smoothie to kickstart your day. What ginger does to your gut. Is this whole alkaline thing, and what, you know, is that even real? You can really start to share and hold your opinion, which is in turn going to educate and entertain your audience. So there's this big thing, you know, that people kind of get caught up with when they're talking about their own stuff. Hey, Joe, good morning. Is that they can start to worry about repetition, right? But if you're coming at something from a slightly different angle, then it might help your audience to hear your opinion about something in a slightly different way compared to perhaps what you shared recently, right? So you might talk about, let's use health coaching for example, you might talk about the benefits of having spinach in your smoothies and how awesome they are. And then the next one, you might talk about why ginger is really important. The next one, you might talk about why you'd have a shot of apple cider vinegar before you have your green smoothie. I'm not a health coach. I'm just making some stuff up. So it's important for you to really come at this from a different angle. If you look at Ellen and the Ellen Show, most of the things that occur on that show, the people that she interviews, the conversations that get had, are probably, if you boil it down, they're really kind of similar, right? It's why game shows do so well. It's the same freaking game, right? We don't necessarily know what the outcome is going to be, but it's the same game. Day in, day out, Monday through Friday for half an hour or an hour. It's just like, oh, what's going to happen next? So if you think about you owning the media, it means that it gives you a sense of power with what you can then share and what you can create, because we don't care what everybody else is putting out there. We're just going to really concentrate on you getting your voice out there, getting your message heard. So another way to think about this, I guess, is if you think about the world of PR, digital marketing, particularly content marketing, is your opportunity to really do your very own PR. It is the cheapest form of PR that you can possibly put out there at the moment. It's the cheapest, most effective way for you to be seen, be heard, be visible, be noticed. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't a space for traditional PR, for print media, television, and stuff like that. But if you are thinking about, right, well, I'm running my very own PR agency, right? Because really that's what you're doing when you're marketing yourself, when you are stepping out and being visible and putting your content out there, you are essentially running the PR agency of you. So this is one arm of the Nicola Moras PR agency, right? It's what am I putting out there? What am I strategically going to talk about today? How am I going to really make it helpful for my audience? So you can think about your page, your Instagram profile, your website, your LinkedIn profile, your podcast channel, your blog or your vlog. All of that is like your very own PR platform where you can jump on your soapbox and you can share your opinion, where you can jump on that soapbox and educate and help and inspire and motivate people from there. Yeah? So if you change your thinking like that, and instead of being caught up, and I get it, it's really easy to get caught up in, oh, but they seem to have it all together, or, you know, they seem to be doing this, and we can have this imposter syndrome kick in. We can have our confidence flagged because we look at these other people who are kind of like, wow, you know, she's a little bit more ballsy than I am, or she's a bit softer than I am, whatever it might be. So we don't want to worry about that. We just want to think, okay, great. So I'm going to broadcast my channel. I'm going to use it as my own PR engine to help promote, support, educate my audience. And it's going to enable you to do it from a space of, instead of being worried about the competition, instead of being worried about the other people in your industry or anything like that, it gives you the ability to own it, right? You really get to own it. So I'd very strongly encourage you to be thinking over this course of the rest of this year and all of next year, right, if this is my Nicola Moras network or Joanne Senko network, or who else have we got on here? Judith, it's the Judith Kemp network. What are you going to be putting out there? Leanne is like Leanne Clune Money Boss network. You know, what are you going to put out there? How are you going to control the conversation? Now, what this means for you is that you've got to have confidence, you've got support, your audience will connect with you because they're like, you know what, I'm not really interested in listening to what everybody else is saying. I love tuning in. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not going to like watching someone else. That's okay. You know, that's why humans like variety. Yeah? So just because they like the Animal Kingdom network or whatever that is, the Animal Kingdom channel, doesn't mean that they also dislike the crime channel. It doesn't mean they dislike the Super Soul Sundays, right? You're not in competition with anyone except for yourself. You know, the only person that you're competing with is you. So if you let that go and just really focus on owning it, owning your voice, owning your stories, and sharing that with your audience, you'll see that the momentum really builds a heck of a lot faster, because you're shifting your thinking to owning that space. Now, there's a whole thing around polarization, right? And polarization can be a really effective marketing tactic, but it doesn't need to be this kind of, like, to me, polarization conjures up this whole, fighty, bitey, I'm going to get all my attitude on, I'm going to slam everybody else in the industry, and I'm going to stick my fingers up and kind of be a bit of an asshole, if we're really being blunt about it. And we don't need to do that. You can polarize people, or polarize the people who are listening in such a way where you're like, you know what, you shouldn't be doing this, you should be doing this. And this is why I think this way. I don't believe that you should outsource your media and let your social media and let them create the content. I think that is completely wrong, and it's really doing your audience a disservice. I think that if you are going to outsource your social media, you need to be the one that creates the content. You need to be the one that gives the agency, here's all of me, here's all my material, go and pull stuff out of there. So they can do the skeleton pieces, but you do the majority of it. Right, I don't believe that you should fake it till you make it. I think that really can end up having you feeling inauthentic, to use that buzzword, incongruent, to use that buzzword. It's really, you doing things in the way that you want to do them and in a way that feels good for you, right? Sharing your stories, sharing your experiences, sharing your knowledge in order to help support your audience. And if you're thinking about this own network that you now own, and that all of these channels, all of this media that we have access to for free is your own personal PR arms, like your PR agency with all of the different arms, it's a heck of a lot easier for you to share your opinion. Because if somebody doesn't like you, they'll just go like unlike or block or delete or whatever it is that they happen to do. It's really interesting. It's a public holiday here today, and it's been a bit of a slower morning. So I was looking at my phone. My husband was in the shower, and I'm sitting in my bed, kind of just scrolling through, feeling really weird, because I'm normally like, getting all the things done. And one of the things that I was reading, there was a Udemy ad that was up there for singing lessons from a world-renowned voice coach. I don't know who he is. It's not Roger Love, so I don't recall his name. But the image in this Udemy ad, you guys will probably start to see it now because we're talking about it, had a guy singing a little bit like Jimmy Barnes, or for those of you in the States, a bit like Cold Chisel, microphone up, like he was belting something out. Apparently he's known for doing the I'm not going to try and do it, I nearly did, the high pitch, really guttural kind of scream and singing. And oh my gosh, the trolls the comments that were going in underneath this ad, if you happen to see it, it's really interesting. Because there are people in there that are slamming him for the way that he holds the mic, and he's just like, you know what, this is how I do it to be able to get this type of sound so that we don't have the feedback. There were people who are like, I don't know who you think you are, maybe you need to change your stance. And he's just like, well, this is how I do it. And you know what? If you don't like it, that's fine. Go and read the testimonials. The testimonials speak for themselves. So what I was really pleasantly reminded of this morning is the fact that when you are solid and certain in your opinion, and you are solid and certain in what it is that you're talking about, there are people who aren't going to like it. There are people who aren't going to agree. There are people who are going to say that your lighting is shit, or the construction of your video is terrible, or the composition's no good, or your voice is not great, or you've got a face for radio, not a face for video or TV. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But when it's your own network, when it's your own media, it gives you the power to just kind of like flick, go away. I don't need to listen to you, we're good. I've got a whole bunch of people who are supportive, and that's what's really important. So it gives you confidence, it gives you some sense of certainty, it gives you a platform for you to be able to share the stuff that's important to you. Like I said, the causes that are important to you, and the reasons why they are, as well as being able to help engage and hopefully entertain your audience so that they keep coming back and listening on in. So you've really just got to own it. You've got to own your own network, leverage the platforms that we have available. You don't need to pay to play for any of the stuff that we've been talking about today. You may need to buy hosting on your website, but let's face it, that's less than $200. You can build a website, have it registered, hosted for less than $200. You know, why would you not be doing that? It's just crazy town. So own your network, own the space, stake your claim, and just get yourselves out there. Now, I talk more about this in my book, the latest book, Visible. If you guys are interested in getting a copy, there is a little Shop Now tab up the top of the page. If you need a content map to get this stuff mapped out, then you'll see that at the top of the page as well. Other than that, for those of you who are in Victoria, happy Melbourne Cup public holiday. I'm not going to be celebrating the Melbourne Cup as it stands, but I'm really happy for a public holiday. My husband and I are going to go and watch Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm so excited. Can't wait to go see that. Music, it's really interesting, just as a little aside, it's really interesting how much music plays a really big part in our worlds and in our lives. So I'm really, really freaking excited about going and sitting through what I hope is going to be another movie, a bit like A Star Is Born, with all the amazing music in there, to what's going to be hopefully a great Queen music-filled movie. All right, have a really amazing day, everybody. I will talk to you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Sorry to disappear. I'm back at 9 a.m. for the Coffee Run Live, and I'm not sure what we'll be talking about, but if you've got questions, let me know. I'd love to answer those for you. Next week in this particular show series, we're talking about how you can, and so we've got this ownership piece, right, where you're going to own the channels, you're going to really own all of this stuff. The next part that we need to get clear on, now that we've got that concept really clear, and I know that you guys are like, yes, that's what I'm going to do, because you are, right? Yes, Nicola. What we need to talk about now is how to really feel confident in what it is that you're doing. So we're going to unpack your knowledge. So I'm going to step you through a bit of a different way than perhaps you've looked at before, with how to unpack your knowledge, work out and demonstrate a lot of the things that make you different, right? Because that tends to be a big problem for people. Well, you know what, there's a million business coaches, there's a million marketers, there's a million parent coaches, there's a million health coaches. You know what? Yeah, there are. But there is no one like you out there. So for you to really own that channel, own that space, and treat this like your own PR company, we also need to be able to have the confidence to talk about the stuff that you want to talk about, whether you are brand new to business doing what it is that you're doing, or whether you're a seasoned professional. There are people who often will have this crisis of confidence. I've got to tell you, I had one earlier this year. And I think it's really important that we have some structure and some framework to come back and just remind ourselves how fucking awesome you really are. So we'll chat about that next week. Meanwhile, have a great day. Thanks everybody for coming and hanging out. I trust that this has been helpful, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.